Hey everyone, this is the second episode of the Skaterade podcast. I'm Jasmine,
I'm Mac.
and we're here with our good pal Hehkhepri. We all work together at Five Stride Skate Shop in
Hey
Brooklyn.
guys.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
So with us today, we have Hehkhepri Martin, Brooklyn skater, works at Five Stride with us. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, pronouns, anything you want to say about who you are, what you do in the world, how you show up in the world?
Hey guys. I'm a black skater from Brooklyn. I primarily do rhythm skating. I prefer to try all forms of skating eventually. Maybe not artistic skating, but maybe one day. Yeah, I go by he, him, I guess, and is also an artist and designer.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you. We're looking forward to getting into some of these different aspects of your life and chatting about this with you today. So glad to have you here.
So, first things first, how long have you been skating?
About 9 years now.
And how did you get started in skating?
I took skate classes as physical ed in grade school.
And what was that like?
Eh, just go around the thing, listen to music, as much skating was as a kid was.
So, did you get graded on your skating performance?
It was mostly participation based, but you got competent at it. Never learned how to skate more than just backwards.
Yeah, I didn't know that roller skating could be part of PE program. Did you have that in your school, Meg?
No, the closest we got was we had like these skate nights at the local skating rink. They were like family nights or whatever. And so you'd go with your families, you'd see all your friends and their little families there, but definitely not for PE, definitely not during the school day, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's about the same gist, I guess.
Did y'all bus over there?
It was within walking distance for us, so we all just grouped up, and I want to say we took a bus, but it was definitely walking distance.
That's so sick. I want to take a break from school to go roller skating.
Same.
So, from what I understand, you took a break from skating for a while after exposure in skating to grade school.
Yeah, it was mostly once I graduated. Well, actually, that PE program lasted a bit short. Like it was like a few years. It wasn't like my entire grade school career. And then I went off to college and then graduated from that, came back and went on a date. Yeah, the date was like meh, but like I realized I'd forgotten about skating and decided I wanted to get back into it. It was either that or archery.
I didn't know that. So,
Archery.
right. What?
Yes, back then there was that one archery range in Brooklyn, and the other one was like outdoors in Queens, and it was either spend $500 on a bow or like $200 on some skates.
Wow, I didn't realize that a bow would be so expensive.
Yeah, those things go north very quick.
So, looping back to the date that brought you back to skating, what was the lead up to that? Like, you just, met her on a dating app and decided to go roller skating together?
It might have been a second date. Um, and at the time, I was trying to be better at being dateable. I don't know. That's definitely a thing, to be honest. So I had made a list of things to do, and the local roller skating rink wasn't a rink. It was Salvation Army Gym, but that was on the list. So we went there. It was at Crazy Legs, or what's currently called Brooklyn Skates, and yeah.
So, what was it like coming back to skating? Was it easy for you?
Yeah, like the remembering how to skate was, especially in like rentals, was pretty short. I think by the end of the day, I was like confident going backwards, but not like really good. Like I knew how to like go backwards slowly, like, skate slowly, but I wasn't falling. So that's what told me I could do it.
Sounds like an impressive first day back.
Mhm.
When did you hit your stride again with skating? When did you fall in love with it?
I don't know if I ever hit that stride. Maybe that stride was later. That was maybe like a few years in, but I think I bought some Chicago skates and $7 pair from Models, rest in peace. And there was a moment where I had broken them, and I realized I was like, no, I think I'm gonna upgrade these. I think I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Also realized that like you couldn't just fix them. Like if you break Chicago's, you need another pair of Chicago's to fix them.
Yeah, they really don't stand up to a beating, and they don't make aftermarket parts for them anymore. I had
Nope.
to repair a set of Chicago's in the shop the other day using sure grip cushions, which didn't quite fit, but it was close enough.
God bless you. I don't think that man.
He was determined to skate in those, so I just couldn't find it in my heart to tell him no.
Yeah, my thing is like, gotta help people make work what they can make work, you know?
I,
For sure.
I I agree. I agree.
And also, an upgrade is sometimes necessary, depending on what you're doing.
You needed to upgrade, even if it was to Impalas. An upgrade's an upgrade.
Wait, okay, so what do you skate on now? Tell the people. Everyone wants to know.
I currently have like 3 pairs of skates.
Let's hear them.
My primary pair is a set of 336 custom color lab. They're like tan and like royal blue suede. I've got roll line Giotto plates on them, cube gold bearings, and all American dreams. Well, vanishing wheels. Then my second pair is my park pair. I've got a beat up set of Jack ones, Sure Grip Avanti plates. I think I currently have Grindstone Smoke Show wheels.
What are they?
Grindstone smoke shows.
Oh, I don't know what I thought you said. Not that, though. Something about
Um,
rhinestones, and I was like,
Ooh.
excuse me?
I want to
I
see you in
actually have a pair of
rhinestones.
wheels with rhinestones on them.
For real.
They're called Queen Scythe.
Oh,
I think they're Australian brand.
wait, you actually have wheels with rhinestones on them? I gotta
I
see
don't know if I
those.
still have them because I like put flats in them and they're like really hard and very easy to get a flat. So I might have thrown them out.
Oh, well, let us know if you can find them.
What do you want to see them? There's like that boy right there. Those the primary pair. Should I show them?
Show them. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see them. Let's see them.
We have the
Alright.
video recording, right?
Yeah, we do.
This is Patreon content, baby. Let's see them. Let's see them. Let's see them. Those are so hot. I love those skates.
So we're looking at a beautiful pair of custom Color Lab 336s in 2 different shades of tan suede with some royal blue accents. Got the classic Jack 1, first generation, park setup. We love it.
Yeah, those are hot.
Hand model over here. If only you guys could see. We'll have to put that on the Patreon.
Vanna White, baby.
Oh, you didn't talk about this third pair.
Wait, when did you get those?
Yeah, I forgot to mention the third pair are a set of Rydell Cruise with Falcon toe stopless plates. No toe stop plates. And that's my like street skating pair. Still without a toe stop.
Yeah, so Hehkhepri likes to skate in the street, and he used to skate in the park with no toe stops. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was pure like I just had to do it. I wanted to start park skating and I'm a big fan of starting with what you have. So that's what I had and I was street skating a lot. Street skating without a toe stop is a little exhausting in the stopping because you got a T stop everywhere and you like put a flat in your wheel. But outside of that, it's fine. It's very doable.
We definitely need to get a video of Hehkhepri skating at the skate park and post that for y'all because it is a beautiful thing to behold.
Lots of flourish.
I hope so.
Lots of flourish.
Very graceful. He skates like a dancer. In fact, Hehkhepri has taught me a lot about skating as a new skater. And the first time I ever went down a big hill was with Hehkhepri at Prospect Park. And of course, he's skating down these big hills with no toe stops. And I'm just struggling to exist. And he's just T-stopping down the hill casually. And we get to this last hill near the road. And I was so afraid that I wouldn't be able to stop. expected Hehkhepri to catch me for some reason, all 175 pounds of me coming down the hill.
I don't think I knew this story.
And he tried to stop me, but I crashed into him pretty hard and threw my weight pretty hard, and I took him down to the ground. And he
No,
was
your problem
bleeding.
was you stopped and lost your balance and pulled me down. Like I absorbed your impact, but then you pulled me forward.
I felt so bad.
I mean, you felt like you just had to fall to lose it, but like I feel like had you just been, I'ma stand on my feet, we'd have been all right.
What even are feet?
Apparently.
But yeah, I felt awful. I bought him a water. I paid for his Uber, and I just like kept apologizing over and over. Mina had to go skate and get napkins, I think, from like a hot dog cart or something to dry up all the blood.
Wait, when was this? Oh my god.
Like summer 2021.
Last year.
Last summer.
Yeah.
Oh,
So embarrassing, but I thought that would be a funny story for the listeners. Hehkhepri has saved me many a time.
the thing is, you weren't going to skate into traffic. There was so much space. You had so much room to like turn. You were like, you saw this and was like, well, I guess I have to die.
Pretty much. That's how my mind works. I'm an extreme catastrophizer.
You had like 80 feet between you and traffic.
But it's not the first time Hehkhepri has saved me in the skate realm in many, many ways. A lot of skaters actually look to you for advice. You don't think so? You look surprised.
I guess so. I mean, I always give advice if I'm asked, but I understand that like skating is very like personal and like matters what you want to get out of it. So like there's no perfect advice for everyone.
Yeah, it is very personal, but I feel like even, I mean, I don't know, like you and I have talked a little bit about too, like even just getting out to skate and stuff. And I feel like not only are you giving skate advice, but you're also giving like emotional support and advice.
That's the thing. Some people need emotional support, not skate advice.
Honestly, that's me.
I'm raising my hand.
Yeah, for sure. But I think you're onto something too with skating being personal. Like I'll say like for me as a coach, I coach in certain ways, but I always kind of give the caveat of like, it's your body. It's like your movement. And ultimately like you can make it your own, or you can kind of like what it looks like on my body or how I do it might work for my purposes, but like you got to figure out what's going to work for your purposes. And I feel like you're kind of the same, like even from when I've skated with you too, like, and I definitely appreciate that about you and sort of that perspective that you offer.
And this leads me into a post that you made recently about a skater that you admire named Miracle. You said that someone looks up to you the way you look up to others. Where was your head at when you made that post, and what do you admire about Miracle skating?
Okay, so I think around that time there was a bunch of like top 10, top 5, like top X number list and of skaters that other people admire. And I think there were a few people that felt slighted by not being on a list. And I'd been working on something like that for a while. That poster was like knocking around my like drafts for quite some time. And I think it like made sense when I started seeing a lot of those like top 5 posts. And I usually just like posting posters that I make rather than like making them social commentary. But that really made sense. And Miracle is someone that I've been like skating around for since like I was still a newbie skater. And I always admired like how like clean her moves were, how it seemed like she already knew what like her third move was, while I was like always tipping over and like barely surviving falling or not falling. And yeah, so I always watch whenever she's skating.
So who made this list? Is this like a consensus, or is this just one person's opinion? I'm not familiar with this
I
list.
think it was not consensus, like one person's opinion. It was like a Instagram copy pasta, like you just tagged the people you what liked the most on your story or something. So I think I saw a lot of skaters doing it. Maybe not a lot, but like it was pretty often.
Yeah, so it's just like people that inspire you essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like very, these people are the best.
But what even is the best, you know?
I know. I don't know.
Because you, for instance, you're an amazing skater, and I feel like you're very sort of low key about it. You don't have a million followers, but that's not reflective of your ability.
Mm-mm. I am bad at social media.
You and me both. You and me both.
I feel like if social media was like an MMO, I'd be at like level 1 fighting whatever like early game creature, just aggressively just keep fighting that guy. Restart the area, fight him again. Never really progress. Never focus on progressing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different skaters that engage with social media in like a lot of different ways, and like some people really use social media to like build their community and like be in community. And from what I know
Mhm.
of you, that's not the move really. Like you're just sort of in community in like a very physical way with
Yes.
people, and it doesn't seem like you really need social media to stay connected in those ways or necessarily want to. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about like just kind of being in skate community, building skate community, what that's been like for you.
I feel like my thing is to physically show up
Yeah.
and make connections. I feel like that's where I shine the best. I'm also the most self-conscious in that sense, but
Really?
yeah, when I'm physically there, like all my senses are firing. So like every every interaction, if it's like a really short one, my brain plays it back right afterward.
Yeah.
But for other people, I really appreciate people that like showing up to the space and connecting with other people rather than skating being a solitary pursuit. I find that those people progress more like consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of had that conversation last week a little bit where I was sort of mentioning, like for me sometimes showing up is the hardest thing just because of some of the ways that I also am really self-conscious and really struggle when I'm feel like I'm being observed in certain ways, but how also that means like I'm often practicing alone and I do feel like, there's a plateau, there's a point that I get to where it's like there's only so many times I can watch a YouTube video and try to do
Hmm.
a thing. It's like I do need eyes on me. I do need people kind of guiding me, or I need to sort of be in community, watching other people do things or put their own flourish on something. And, I know that it seems like from some of the most common conversations, you've definitely talked about how important that is and how important it is to kind of be surrounded by people in that way.
Yeah, I think just in terms of your own perception of yourself, a lot of people, mainly just me, but a lot of people are you only see when you fail,
Hmm.
or not only, but you hold on to your failures longer than your successes. So like when you succeed at it, you're like, all right, let's make it harder.
Yeah.
And you're upset when you like can't live up to that like slightly harder par standard that you've made.
Do you have advice for those wanting to be in skate community more, who are maybe a little more socially anxious or super self-conscious?
I mean, I'm pretty self-conscious. Find your tribe and understand that you're allowed to take up space, but maybe find the space where a lot of other people are existing in the same capacity. So that's like, don't go to the skate park and jam skate in the middle of like a ramp or something, a quarter or a half pipe like that. That's taking up space and like a negative
That's taking over
capacity.
space.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that example.
Like find spaces where people are skating similar to you. And similar is very broad. Like they don't have to be doing the exact same skate style, but you would feel better where people are skating the same skate style as you. Even in like the scope of like rhythm skating, you would appreciate if people are listening to slow music, like doing dips, if you really like doing dips.
I love a
But if
good dip.
everyone's like skating really fast and backward, and the music is booming and going real fast. Like if you're doing dips, someone's gonna run into you, and it's gonna suck.
Read the room, honey.
Oh my
So
gosh.
obviously, skating to one type of music or doing one type of move gets boring very quickly. So also broaden your horizons. It helps skating stay fun,
Yeah.
helps you get out of your head whenever you're not living up to whatever potential that you think you can achieve.
Yeah, I'm also hearing like, the line between like being brave and taking up space and like not being afraid to like be a part of something and be kind of like seen by people and like
Hmm.
self-awareness essentially, right? Like obviously you have to show up if you want to be in community. You have to try to make connections. You have to have at least some level, it sounds like, of self-confidence, of bravery to kind of do that, especially if you're someone who struggles with that. But and like there's a certain level of self-awareness around like what communities you're going into, the people that you're around, kind of reading the room. I think for me that also brings up things that we've sort of talked about before too, around like gender stuff in different spaces, like masculinity and how that sometimes shows up in different spaces. I don't know if I have a specific question about that, but that's something that we have talked about before. I don't know if you want to say anything about that at all.
Um, but yeah, I feel like it's very much the courage to show up as you are, even if you're struggling with like who you are or who you want to be, still putting that aside and existing as you are in your body is important to your own self image and like self esteem, I guess. That's self image. I don't know.
How do you feel that toxic masculinity has an impact on rink culture?
It definitely does. As accepting, I think the skate world is, and a lot of the spaces I exist in, it's also very accepting of people of all ages. Um, and that means you're gonna deal with people from like the past that like to hold on to more dated beliefs. And I think for people that feel like there is a lot of unwanted attention, there are a lot of allies and there are a lot of people that want to make this space safer for everyone. And that usually means that the people you end up looking out for. It's hard to be a white knight and look out for everyone. So in part of creating your tribe, your group, you're going to find people that are going to help defend you, like help create space for you, hold space. And those people that want to detract from that will always exist. It becomes easier to show up if you have other people to surround yourself with. And it's not about fighting those people that are making your existence hard. It's about putting up a boundary. So if someone is like unwanted attention, I feel like it does exist the the space to say something and be like, "Hey, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to interact with you. Leave me alone." And once that is said, once that expectation is made, then you can move from there. But I feel like someone has to say it. I think a lot of people are bad at reading the room, especially in that regard. And I don't want to give them the benefit of ignorance.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I feel like there's just like, at least in Brooklyn and in New York, I've seen a lot more of the like queer skates pop up and the like skates that are like specifically for like women and femme folks. I think
Hmm.
because of sometimes some of the ways that other like certain spaces can kind of have like masculinity show up in a way where there's not a lot of accountability.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like for me, I'm definitely like, as a trans person, like I'm definitely very pro those kinds of spaces where it's like, oh, I'm just surrounded by other trans people who like get it, where we're not going to have to worry about some of those sorts of like
Oh yeah.
microaggressions or transgressions. But and like I also want to be a part of other spaces and have other experiences. So it's, I don't know, like it's tricky. I'm certainly grateful for some of those spaces that are a little more like exclusive to certain social locations or like certain identities. And yeah, it's like, what are the conversations we can have, or how can we build relationship and community so that like these other spaces also feel, accessible on some level to people. I'm hearing you say that in many ways. It sounds like you're thinking like, okay, like if you build relationships, and if you have relationships and you're with people that have your back, like that can really go a long way. I like crewing up when I go places. I like having some people with me. So it's like, I don't feel so nervous, or I don't, if there's like a microaggression or something comes up, it's like, I don't have to feel like I'm so alone, or I have to find someone who's like a stranger, or like I have to just leave because I'm like uncomfortable. So it can be nice for me to like try to have people to go with in those instances too.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes. That's half of it. But also making connections means that like the people you don't show up with, the other people in the room who aren't the aggressor or you, are also allies and not strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and part of that is visibility, right? Like if people see you around a bunch, even just like walking around my neighborhood, it's like I could walk around with my head down, but I usually walk around and saying hi to everybody that I see, that I know I'm going to see when I'm walking around the block. And like even that level of visibility, it just like lends itself to something.
Yeah, as a feminine presenting person, it's definitely really encouraging to hear you say that you have my back, because it can be really alienating in the moment. And a lot of the instances in which I'm getting hit on, it's very micro, it's really small. And if you're not sort of zoomed in on it, you won't see it. And I find that sometimes it's really difficult to speak your voice when you're feeling creeped out by someone, especially when they've been in this community longer than you have, and it kind of feels like it's their space, and it just kind of makes me want to go somewhere else. So you're right, it is about finding your people and finding a way to take up space, like Hehkhepri said.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like just to make it more concise, yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
So I want to talk a little bit more about just existing in skate community and the jam and rhythm skate community specifically. How do you feel when you're skating in community in terms of mentally, physically? Paint us a picture of a skate night with Hehkhepri.
Uh, I like to listen to music that I like before showing up to most skate events. That way, like I've got like some energy going. I'm pumped up a little bit. Also, make sure you eat. Maybe drink some coffee. Because you can't really physically show up if you're hungry or tired. But I spend a lot of time watching other people because like it's a good way of like recovering from exhaustion, like slowing down the sweat. I sweat way too much, but just like making sure that you're able to have enough stamina to get through like the whole session. If you're by yourself, if your head is down the whole time, you could like exhaust yourself very quickly. Um, Also, like watching what other people are doing and trying, maybe picking up other skills is also part of progressing. I think the DJ is probably the most important role in the place as a rhythm skater. A poor DJ can kill a party faster than like bad skaters. Like like if everyone is like doesn't have any etiquette, that's one thing. That's you can be annoying. You could be annoyed about that. But a bad DJ kills the mood, it kills the energy. Yeah, so I try not to put so much like power on the DJ most of the time. Like unless I know who the DJ is and I know they're gonna do a good job. There are a lot of places in the tri-state areas that I've like don't even have to. I know I'm gonna be hyped when I get there. Like when you get there and the music's already going and you're a little late and everyone's like really flying around and you're like, shit, I gotta get these skates on now. Like I'm not stretching. I'm gonna fucking figure it out.
So we've had chats in the past about skate DJs and the new school versus old school. What are some of your thoughts about the DJs that are getting more play than others, maybe particularly in Brooklyn?
I feel like I'm pretty apathetic about it now, but it does bear being said that I'm sure a lot of the DJs I currently play at like Brooklyn Skates or any of the other rinks, or air quote that, rinks in Brooklyn, are, I feel like they rely on it as income and don't really innovate
Mm.
and don't make space for any of like the up and coming younger DJs that are putting in the work and listening to what's up to date and innovating off of that and listening to what a lot of other DJs are playing. You really got to go out to like Long Island or New Jersey for that sort of circuit. That's not to say like the pop-up events aren't good, but like a lot of the like rotating nights aren't as high quality, I feel, for that reason.
Do you have favorite vibes that you like for skating, like favorite types of music or preferences around what you're listening to?
I guess I like house music. Yes. Say that, start there. Any house music, I'll bop to it. Of course, there's a lot of, I've been listening to house music since I started skating back in like 2013. So I've heard a lot, and a lot of the older stuff, like the tried and true stuff, is a bit tired.
Mhm.
But I could still bop to it. But I do understand a lot of people's like frustration with hearing the same song every week. And then outside of that, I can appreciate slow jams. I can appreciate disco, oldies, hip hop. I can appreciate a lot of the other songs or music that make up skating, the skate world. I don't know. I guess I don't skate to like techno or metal or rock. That feels weird. Doesn't have too much of a, or maybe the beat is just too fast or erratic. It's hard to find like a manageable rhythm.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how you feel inside of your body and in your head when the vibes are just right, the music is just right? Maybe you've had a shitty day and you're coming into the rink to sort of shake that off. What is your headspace like?
So if I've had a shitty day, it's going to be hard to get out of my head. And if I've had a shitty day, I've likely haven't eaten, so I'm already starting off on a bad foot.
Does skating ever kind of turn it around for you though, or is that not so much the
Some
case?
somewhat. Like showing up is the bare minimum, but also the goal. Like anything past that is like it's like a bonus. Showing up, putting your skates on, trying to get your energy flowing. But like a really good DJ would turn that shit around. Like make you forget about that shit. Which isn't always the case in Brooklyn. If I'm able to get out of my head and just be present and get warm, that's like the goal. Like I've achieved what I came for. Yeah, it's that's the best feeling, is to just be moving and to like not be thinking about what you're doing. And maybe it's like doing the same move over and over. Like you've like mastered this move. You've got 4 moves in your bag and you just cycle through those. That's that's what skating is about. Now, of course, that gets tired. Like it's diminishing returns at that point. Um, but I think you've got what you came for. Now it's on you for maybe the next time to be like, all right, so let's work on something else. Let's improve. Let's innovate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like I'm hearing from you that like half of it, especially during a bad day, is like just getting there and having an opportunity to try to be present and embodied, like because that itself can even be hard, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious too for you, like okay, so let's say we're talking about like a good day. You know, you want to try something new. You're maybe working on like a new skill. What is that process like for you? You know, do you find yourself getting frustrated? Do you try to
Yeah.
play with it? Like, what? How do you like kind of leaning into new things or picking up new things?
Well, in terms of rhythm skating, I think most of the stuff is fairly easy. It's like the nuance that makes it really hard. It's like maybe trying to do it on beat, maybe trying to think about it in the middle of like a sequence of stuff. It's maybe trying to do it without thinking. That's like the final phase. But if there's something that I'm working on, I usually like try slowing it down. You definitely need to be warmed up. For me, it's like making sure like my knees are warmed up. You know, I'm old or whatever. It's like making sure my body is warm so that I'm able to do it without having concern for like my joints or something like stupid as that. I don't know. Like, obviously, the way your joints bend is always something you're concerned with,
Yeah.
but that's like in rhythm skating. But like at like a skate park where, say, like bombing a hill for the first time, you're very much concerned with like the safety of it all. And that's what becomes terrifying about it. And maybe the space to do the move is a lot smaller, like the time span you have. With rhythm skating, you have all the time in the world, in my opinion. Once you start getting into sequences, maybe it feels a little smaller. When you're trying to do stuff on beat, your window is a little bit smaller. But you can always just like break down the move into like bare bones. Like, what's your body doing in step one? What's your body doing in step two? What's your upper body doing compared to your lower body? What's like each individual foot doing? Like, are you on the outside? Are you on the inside? Are you on your back edge or your front edge?
Yeah.
Pare it down to like the core and then build on it.
How do you, confront or deal with moments of frustration for yourself, or like if something's just not clicking or you're not, getting it? How do you move through those moments?
You got to put it down.
Mm.
You got to walk away from it. That's very much a part of it. Like being so close to getting it and then not like take a week off because you're closer to like injuring yourself out of frustration than nailing it perfectly.
Yeah.
But after that week off, your body will still remember all that practicing, and it might come out while you're not paying attention, and you'll be like, "The fuck, I just did it."
It's funny, like as someone who was an athlete, like for most of my life, who was playing like almost year round, I'd play hockey and it would be like fall through like late spring, early summer, but then you'd get like those couple of months off. And always like by the end of the season, I was like feeling like I was playing really good hockey and whatever. But then it's like you take a few months off and you're like, oh no, I'm going to lose it. Or like, I don't know. And then I would always come back in the fall and be like, wow, I'm so much better than I ever was before. Incredible. And, I think it does really speak to like taking space from things or like taking a rest or like just switching it up can be really, really meaningful. So I really appreciate that perspective for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's really a balance in finding that balance. There really is an art in finding that balance in your body and getting to know yourself in that way. And in that way, skating can be really delicate. And sometimes we feel maybe a little unrecognized in certain ways. You made a post recently that said, "Give me my flowers while I'm still skating." Do you care to maybe talk about your sentiment with that and also the artwork that you presented with that idea?
That's like a fun project that I think is a bit more long term for me. Give me my flowers while I'm still skating is like tell the people that are surrounding you when they're doing good, because skaters we're often stuck in our own head, our own body, and we lack like that perspective that will, give us the heart to keep going. Sometimes we might feel like we're not getting it, but if someone's like, "Yeah, you're getting it," there's this last part that like is what you're messing up on, and you think you're just fucking up the whole way. um, I think that's important. Also, not waiting until someone is like quitting or is injured or can't skate anymore to tell them that they were good. Like talk about them the way you would at their funeral while they're here. So that's sort of like the gist. But like how that shows up visually, how I want to like make that show up on people as like a clothing designer is always evolving. I love innovating, but never really like selling. I feel like I like starting projects, not quite finishing them. But that project is a lesson for me in finishing what I started.
Can you talk a little bit about the inclusion of flowers in the imagery for that collection or that ongoing project?
I think maybe at its core, I'm trying my best to knock down the stigma that men can't like flowers, or that maybe flowers are like inherently a feminine thing. For the longest, I hated flowers. Maybe because like I never really gave them any attention, and it was just something that girls like instinctively liked. Like, and they never gave me a reason. It was just like, oh, it's so cute, and I'm just like, I don't understand it. It sucks. They smell and they die very quickly. But like, there's some beauty in that temporalness, that transience. And it wasn't until like I went to your wedding that I found flowers that I actually liked. And I was like, oh, this is cool. They don't always have to be in like a bunch. You can like admire a single flower. And from then on, I've just been like paying attention to flowers. Like floral arrangements is like an entire industry that I never understood until that day.
Yeah, shout out to my floral designer, Candice, local Black businesswoman here in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Playing with that imagery with like the limitation of having to use only one or two colors while like making flowers look delicate is a big struggle. I'm always fighting that.
Can you talk any more about just generally some of the like design work that you do? Because you also recently designed like a poster for Rydell for like RollerCon. I know you're
Uh,
like you kind of, I don't know if the word is dabble or what, but I know you like have a hand in some of those projects and stuff. Do it, as kind of as much as you can. It seems like.
so when I'm not working to pay my bills, I want to make a living out of art. And I think that's what most artists want,
Mhm.
or at least while they're young. At some point, you realize that it definitely has to be something that is your own, even if you're making a living out of it. But I definitely started out as a computer animator. I wanted to be a 3D artist. I just couldn't find my way into that industry. So the way that evolved is into like graphic design, poster design, and apparel design. It's like more real life because computer animation is really all of that, but in like a entirely digital scenario. But now I'm trying to hold on to a lot of those like aesthetics, but make it more real world. So poster design is something that's very simple or comes very natural to me. And it's definitely something that you have to like put time into to like learn new styles, learn new workflows, and it doesn't take that long to start and finish a project. There's a lot of leeway and like a long history of like poster design that's like either really simple or really fucking complex and everything in between. So there's like a lane for everyone in that, and you don't even have to stay in your lane for graphic design and poster design. And so being a freelance artist does allow me to express that and get paid for it.
Yeah, it's nice that you can like sort of tie that into skating as well, and that you found ways to kind of marry those two things
Yeah.
as much as you can.
It seems like you do a lot of figure study of skaters for your designs.
Yeah, the body and like the silhouette is always something I'm paying attention to. I think that's just like a relic of like my computer animation history. Like as a character designer, silhouette studies is like the first step to creating like memorable characters.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like all of the characters you've ever seen, physical, like even costume design, they all start with silhouette sketches, silhouette studies.
How do you find balance in your day to day life between wearing your designer hat, wearing your roller skater hat, wearing your fiance hat?
A
Oh
face.
boy. I think you just make it work. You have a finite amount of energy in a day, and you just pick two or three things and you try and do them, and you go to sleep, and you wake up and you try again. I feel like trying to theory craft juggling all of them is exhausting, and I'm all about physically showing up. So if you don't have the energy to do one thing, then hey, there's tomorrow. You gotta prioritize stuff, and that list is always fluid. Yeah, I always have like a top two list for a day. I can't have more than that. The third one never gets done.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're also talking a lot about like personal capacity, right? Like you're like, okay, like,
uh,
yeah, I do have all these things that I can prioritize, but in any given day, like I only have the capacity for so many of them. So I need to sort of figure out day to day what those priorities are. And, you know, I'll admit, like in my own life, number one priority is often work for me because of just needing to afford my life and how difficult that can be in Brooklyn. So then it's like some days it's like, okay, well, if I only get one other option for the day, like how do I choose when the thing I want to do is like have fun, but I also have these other things that I'm sort of obligated to, or other things that are maybe important, but that are like not that like instant gratification of like going skating or whatever.
hmm
So I don't know. I
hmm
guess I feel like you're nodding, like you understand this. So I'm curious, you know, yeah, how do you work through that for yourself?
There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
You eventually you gotta prioritize stuff on like a larger scale. So obviously, like working and being financially stable has probably the greatest importance, but like your emotional stability, your physical health is probably equally as important. So how you manage those things on their own is becomes like its own question. So if you're prioritizing one more than the other, like you end up suffering. So you gotta like bring something else up and then like, all right, that's fine, bring this up over here. If you end up like having to make the decision between being financially stable and like emotionally stable, maybe you're living in the wrong place. Maybe you need like to consider your surroundings and your environment. But outside of that, like you have a lot of time. You just gotta like use it better. Not even wisely, just better.
So clearly, you're so much more than a skater, but your skate life intersects with other aspects of your life, obviously.
Mhm.
How do you want to be seen in the skate space as a contributor to the larger community?
I want to be seen as like a good skater. I think that's the first thing. Like I like put in the time. I want to be like known for being able to skate well. Or at least a rhythm skater. That's what I put most of my time into. Eventually, park skating as well. I want to be seen as someone that's like welcoming, that like will help you if I see you're doing the work. I don't think I am a person that is like your first skate friend. I don't know if I have the space to do that. Like, you know, be the person that's like there holding your hand while you're Bambi. That's what the wall is for. Uh,
Okay, boundaries.
but like when you've got your feet under you and you're like, hey, I want to try something, I'll be right there with you.
Aw. Yeah, I can
You
attest to
fall,
that.
great. Get up. Let's try it again. I'll tell you what you did wrong.
So we have a few more questions to wrap up with. I know you got to go because you have a doctor's appointment. What goes through your head when you hear people say roller skating is back as if it died?
I like wince at it, but I understand that it's like ignorance.
Yeah.
Like because it wasn't very visible outside of the spaces it was practiced in. I understand people forgot about it. Maybe a lot of people quit during that time because access to it was a bit limited. And this is referring to like the 2000s, maybe the 2010s. I started skating during those times, so like it didn't die. There were definitely new people that were learning it. And if you refer to it as a class, like class of 2012, there are a lot of people that started, and those are like the really good skaters nowadays. But obviously, it's gotten a lot more press, it's got a lot more visibility now. So it's in front of people against it. It's in front of a lot more people against their will.
Yeah.
And a lot more people are wanting to try it because they feel like it's easy, it's more accessible.
Roller derby was similar. Like I started derby in like 2010, 2011. And that had sort of had like a quote unquote resurgence, but that was like back then. And I owned a skate shop in Ohio for a couple of years. And I remember people would come in and they'd be like, roller skating, like, I can't believe anyone does this. And I'd be like, there's a whole international community of people that are playing roller derby like regularly and very competitively. Like, you just don't know about it, but it's there, it's real, and it certainly has also grown a lot in the last 10
Yeah.
years and has also like gotten a little more popular through sort of the like quote unquote resurgence again during COVID. But I agree, I think like
Yeah.
it just became more accessible, and also because of social media, like I think people see people experiencing joy and like a sense of freedom on skates, and especially because we're all really, I'll say most if not all of us are like really kind of suffering throughout like this pandemic and throughout just a lot of the shit going on in the United States right now. Like I think people are seeking opportunities for that sense of freedom, that sense of joy, that sense of community, that sense of like self-efficacy and like control over something in our lives when we kind of don't have
Mhm.
control over so much of what's happening. And so I think definitely having it be a little more accessible, it just to me seems like a natural thing that more and more people would want to get on board with and be a part of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really didn't go anywhere for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As many things that are kept alive by minorities and subcultures,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
turn a blind eye. But,
Yeah.
Black folks and derby skaters have been keeping roller skating alive this whole time.
Brian.
Absolutely.
So, in closing, do you have any advice for new skaters besides use the wall?
Besides, don't touch a Hehkhepri and use the wall.
Yes. Yes. I think the people I'm close to, I end up being like their tripod.
You're my
But
tripod.
yeah, but don't expect me to be that. I got skating to do. Um,
Hehkhepri's busy.
the first thing is show up. The second thing is to get your own equipment. Rentals are great. They're accessible, they're affordable, but eventually having something that will stay the same as when you put it down and you pick it up the next time is very key to like any sort of progression. Find people that you like skating with. And even if it's like people that are adventurous and like trying new forms of skating, that's really important.
Mhm.
And that the same person doesn't have to be with you throughout the whole journey. People will come and go in your life, people will come and go in your skating life. Don't quit skating because the people you skate with don't skate with you anymore.
Have you seen that happen?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Happens in my own life. Like, you know, people's lives go in different directions. People's like desires and wants go in or they change over time. So
I'm just surprised that people would stop skating because their friends stopped skating. That's all.
right, that seems very weird to me. But like if you lose your community, that phrase does make sense. But also skating needs to be like a personal pursuit. And in that, finding other people on that personal pursuit becomes easier to do, I think. And then outside of that, try new forms of skating. There's a lot of skating to do out there. Don't get bogged down on only one style or one style of music.
Hehkhepri, do you want to expand a little bit on your design stuff and just kind of just like really own that? Because when we were listening back before, that's something that Mac and I had chatted about, that we really want you to like own your
Oh
design
boy.
stuff.
Let's get you some gigs.
So I went to Pratt Institute for Computer Animation and graduated in 2013. I have a BFA in fine arts. I think that's no, it's a BFA in computer animation. About 10 years experience in most things digital. Recently, about 5 years experience in graphic design, poster making, apparel design. I run my clothing line called Roll Bounce Rock Skate. Check out rollbouncerockskate.com. It is a mouthful. I'm also on Instagram and in your local skating rink.
I love it.
Yeah,
Catch a Hehkheppri rolling around Brooklyn.
catch me outside. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you really quickly tell me some of your current favorite skate DJs?
I think I really appreciate a lot of the new NJ DJ scene. There's DJ Now, there's DJ Jammin, DJ Dream is pretty good. It's this young kid in Brooklyn. We've got DJ D. You got some young up and coming ones like DJ Lemonade, Mr. Butler. He's also his own producer. Shout out to him. Shout out to Manny Kalam. He's one of my other favorite skaters. Also, he's his own artist and producer. Then there's a few people out in like the West. There is DJ Prototype, who's also a phenomenal skater. He's from Portland, I believe, or Seattle, one of the two.
I always mix those two up too. I don't know why.
They're the same place.
In my mind, they are.
Bonnie and OMG have entered the chat. Yeah, I think that's a lot of them. All I can remember right now.
All right, amazing. We'll have to put some of those DJs in the show notes and share a little playlist with folks.
Check them out on Bandcamp. They got a lot of stuff in there.
Will do. Well, thanks so much for these amazing parting words. We really appreciate you making the time to chat with us again. And we'll see you around.
Yeah.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.